Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Late Night with Larry, when I give some NASCAR daily discussions from my garage. And I'm out here in my garage thinking about what I'm really going to say because we had some big news here today. Mel Kiper has his orange crushes. I got squirt. Pause. But we had some serious news come out a little bit earlier with Gabehart and Joe Gibbs, an update on the potential NASCAR 2. And this is about to get very, very nasty. It's getting nutty. Whew. Freaking wild, man. Freaking wild. It's from what I'm reading and what it sounds like is that Joe Gibbs are trying to put an injunction on to Chris Gabehart, a cease and desist, so he can't work at Spire Motorsports. He just accepted the job over at Spire Motorsports. He officially got announced for the job over at Spire Motorsports, and this could potentially prevent him from working not just with Spire Motorsports, but with a multitude of NASCAR teams for the next 18 months. Plus, on top of that, are looking for retributions up to $8 million. Just think about all that for a second. It's pretty wild. Chris Gabehart's been a big part of Joe Gibbs Racing for a long time. He was, in my opinion, one of the best crew chiefs we've had in NASCAR over the last 15 to 20 years. He's been phenomenal, and he really helped Denny Hamlin get his career back on track. And obviously, it didn't end very well over at Joe Gibbs Racing. They split up back in November. I guess at this point, it's now official that they're officially split up. But it's wild, man. I don't know what is going to be done about all this. Chris Gabehart has come out within the last couple of days and denied these allegations, because that's what they are at this point. They are just allegations at this point. And some of you that may not know what the allegations are, what is being alleged is that Chris Gabehart stole information, documents, potentially set up stuff like that, stole them, allegedly put it on a file called Spire in his Google Drive, his personal Google Drive, on a Joe Gibbs Racing laptop, was apparently printing out things as well, printing out certain information that Joe Gibbs Racing didn't want to give to another race team, because then that's going to give them their information and potentially give that other race team, in this case Spire Motorsports, an advantage. And I'm at two minds personally when it comes to this. A big part of me is like, yeah, Chris, if this, let's say this is what happened. This is all allegedly. Don't want to get in any trouble. This is all allegedly, What if this really did happen? What if this did happen, that Chris Gabehart stole these documents and this information from Joe Gibbs Racing, and even potentially left some sort of paper trail showing what he had done, and he may be guilty of all that stuff? And is that all against the rules? Yes. Is that morally wrong? Yes. It's breaking a lot of rules. He will never, if that's true, he would probably never work in NASCAR ever again. And he's one of the best talents, best crew chiefs, one of the smartest people in the NASCAR garage, in my opinion, that we've had over the last 15 to 20 years, which would be a shame to lose a former crew chief over this stuff. And the other side of my mind is like, well, this is not the first time that this has happened. Crew chiefs, engineers, car chiefs, pit crew members, even members all over the NASCAR community for all time have been doing this sort of thing. Were they more slick about it? Yeah, probably. They probably just remembered certain things, and they're like, hey, when I was at that last team, we did this. When I was at that last team, we did this, and we ran really fast. And that's fair. That's fair and all that. So that's where it kind of throws me off, is that Chris Gabehart is just doing what I think a lot of people in NASCAR have already done before in the past. And just because that happened, that doesn't necessarily make it right. But I think the huge difference between himself and I forget who was talking about Suitcase Jake the other day. I can't remember. Was it Tommy Baldwin? I can't remember who was talking about him the other day, about everything that he did and why when he would jump from team to team back in the day, all of a sudden that team would start doing better because he stole information from the prior team. So this stuff has been going on in NASCAR forever. And there's a saying around NASCAR that I don't necessarily agree with, but it's part of our history. It's part of our base. And it's, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. That's a big part of NASCAR. Am I a fan of the fact that there's been cheating all throughout NASCAR's history? No, I'm not a big fan of that, but it's part of our culture, essentially. It's part of our foundation, if you will. But like I said, just because this has been happening throughout a lot of NASCAR history, that doesn't necessarily make it right. So Joe Gibbs does have a point on that. But if all this is true, suing for $8 million in retributions, potentially keeping Chris Gabehart out of work for a year and a half, I think that's a little bit much, in my opinion. I see a lot of people share the same sentiment as I do online, that even if this is true, even what is being alleged may be true, this is a little bit much. I'd say it's a little bit much. So one thing I would like out of this court case, if Gabehart would somehow win and get proven that he didn't do these things and he does have to sit out for 18 months unemployed, essentially, then I think Joe Gibbs should have to pay him a good amount of money. That's just my opinion. I don't know if some people share the same opinion, but if you're going to sue a man for $8 million and also keep him out of work for a year and a half, you're messing with the guy's well-being at that point, in my opinion, in his life. And there's an argument: did he bring it upon himself? Yeah. If what had happened what's being alleged happened, then yeah, there is an argument to be made that he potentially brought it all upon himself. I don't know what's going to come of this, y'all. I really don't. I really don't know what's going to come of this. These two, and by these two, I mean Chris Gabehart and Joe Gibbs Racing, had a very tight-knit, close relationship. It was a shock to me when he originally left Joe Gibbs Racing. I think a lot of people at that time were like, A lot of people were very surprised when it happened. And it makes a lot more sense now with all this information coming out on why they may have separated back in November. And this is going to get worse. This is going to get real nasty. I'm hoping everybody finishes this potential court case, because it looks like we're probably going to have to go to court for this one. With how nasty this is getting, I highly doubt it will be settled out of court. They're not going to be able to find some sort of settlement or anything like that. I highly doubt that. So we're going to have to see this go to court. It's not going to be as intense as 2311 in Front Row versus NASCAR, but it could potentially be more nasty. And what I mean by that, the 2311 Front Row Motorsports case was very intense because it wasn't just deciding the future on these two race teams. It was deciding the future of the whole entire sport and everybody involved with it. So it was a lot bigger in scale. But this case, I would say, is not quite as big in scale, but this might get very, very dramatic, very, very nasty, and we'll have to see what the future is with the potential NASCAR Part 2 this time. Chris Gabehart versus Joe Gibbs and Joe Gibbs Racing. This is a bombshell of news. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. How do you feel about this news? Where do you stand on the fence? Like I said, I'm kind of at two minds of this. One part of me is like, yeah, if he broke the rules, if he did steal these documents, this and that, then yeah, maybe he should have to pay the price for it. But on the other side of this has been going on forever, and this is not. And I'm gonna say it right now, Chris Gabehart is not gonna be the last member of the NASCAR community to do something like this. It's been going on forever in NASCAR. It's part of the culture almost at this point. So that's where I am on the other side of it. So I'm very mixed minds about it. I'm hoping that we're able to figure it out and everybody's able to be okay. because it would be a damn shame to lose someone like Chris Gabehart from our sport, someone who is so intelligent, someone who has a great knowledge of the sport. He's a big part of our sport. He's been one of the best crew chiefs we had over the last 15, 20 years. Like, you got him, you got Chad Knaus, Alan Gustafson, Cliff Daniels. You have a lot of great crew chiefs over the last 15 to 20 years, and he's right up there in the upper echelon of all those people I just named. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. How do you feel about this?